Hello, can you hear me? Probably not. Okay, we're not doing the armor expansion pack today. We are doing the Patron Deck and the Lichtenau expansion pack. So I can't really talk in this thing because, as you can see, my jaw can barely move because it's held in place by my amazingly excellent helmet. So let me just remove the amazingly excellent helmet. Oh. Restore vision. Oh, there you are. Hello. Now, let's start with Nikodemus, our glorious patron, rendered in Technicolor on our amazing new deck. Okay, let's start with the guards. We have Vomtag, Albert, Flug on the right and the left side, Ox, right and left. Okay, and this is because in the Lichtenau system, Lichtenau himself says these four guards, Vomtag, Albert, Flug and Ox, are the most important ones. We also have Kron, which is like Frontale, Langenort, which is like Postalonga, right Nebenhut, which is like Koralonga, left Nebenhut, which we don't do really unless we're doing the sword in one hand stuff, but let's not go there. Right Schrankhut, which is a lot like to the Porta di Ferro, and left Schrankhut, which we don't do, us glorious Italians. We don't do that. But these Germans, they're crazy, they can do what they like. Now, the guards work more or less the same way as their counterparts in the Italian-based decks. So Albert works a lot like to the Porta di Ferro, left Ox and right Ox work a lot like Fenestra, left Flug and right Flug are basically, we don't really have, so they are a little different. Vomtag is a lot like Posta di Donna, but it doesn't appear on the left side, and I should warn you that there are some quirky little tweaks, which means if you are in the wrong guard and your opponent attacks with the right attack, you die. This is not realistic. Obviously, a proper Lichtenau trained swordsman would have no difficulty dealing with any attack from, for example, Vomtag, defending from Vomtag. So, but you have to remember this is a card game, and we have had to make some concessions to make it a playable game and introduce at least a little bit of luck and randomness, because that actually is more, shall we say, true to the fight than having everything perfectly predictable. So much for the guards. The special skills are where it gets interesting. Now, this is our patron's deck, and we asked him what he wanted, and if you've ever seen a 5-year-old in a candy store going, oh, that one and that one and that one and that one and that one, that's pretty much what happened, only I want to be able to throw my sword. So we have, as in Fiore, we see several occasions where the Catti, the ruffian, throws their sword at the gallant Fiorean defender. We have this as a desperate last-ditch measure, throw the sword. To play this card, you may not have any strikes in your hand. This is a last-ditch, oh shit, I'm gonna die defense. So, you reveal your hand to your opponent so that they can see you have no strikes of any kind. Okay, and then you get to play your throw the sword card, and that models you throwing your sword at your opponent. Okay. This card may be parried with any eligible reverso or left side strike. If not parried or avoided, you win. So, because in Fiore's system, every parry against a thrown sword is shown from the left, your opponent has to be able to play a left side blow. Yeah? And they must be able to play that as a parry. And so they must have, to defend against this, they must be able to play an eligible reversal which has the parry symbol on it. If they do that, you lose. If they don't do that, your sword spears them through their cowardly heart and they perish. We also have deep in the bowels of this deck somewhere, there should be, oh no, sorry, it's in the basic hand. We have Poison Dust to Throw, which is a reference to Fiore's Polax, the modified Polax that has poison dust in the head. And then we have a bunch of interesting Lichtenauer type techniques. Überlaufen, which basically, what it allows you to do, it says play this card with any Fendente or Oberhau to counterattack against your opponent's Mezzano or Mittelhau, Sottano or Unterhau. What this means is, instead of having to counterattack Fendente versus against Fendente, it allows you to do one of Lichtenauer's techniques, which is when somebody cuts from below or from across, you just smash over the top of them. Okay? Very cool, very useful. Ringen. Now, the photo shoot we did for this card was a little bit embarrassing because I was going to be the manly man going, taking a student onto my back of my neck, but what with my spine issues and stuff, we abandoned that plan pretty quickly, and so there was me kind of over the back of somebody's shoulders. Ville Tilvis rather enjoyed himself that day, I think. Didn't actually drop me on my head, for which I will always be grateful. And basically what this allows you to do is convert any eligible Stretto counter remedy into a perfect counter. So in other words, if somebody plays an outside Stretto remedy, and you have an outside counter remedy that doesn't make a perfect match, if you play your imperfect one with the Ringen card, you win, because your close quarter wrestling skills are so magnificent that you can use them to defeat your opponent. Right, very useful card. Okay, Winden. Now this is the kind of classic Lichtenauer stuff, where basically when you're bound at the middle of the sword and your opponent, normally we would go in for a Stretto play, you can use the Winden card to basically convert the bind type from Stretto to Largo so that you can play a thrust. And basically that's kind of wadging the technique into our existing game mechanics. Because of course, you don't actually need to, in real life, you don't change the bind to make the Winden particularly, you change the leverage, and as the bind changes, the opening to the thrust is right there. So, Winden, very useful, very German. Then we have Mutieren and Duplieren, which, again, my understanding of these techniques comes from people like Stefan Dieke and Christian Tobler and Jörg Bellinghausen and Thomas Stockler and Bill Grandy and a bunch of other excellent people. So if I'm getting it completely wrong, so are they. Duplieren, if your opponent is stronger, this is the unusual thing about Duplieren. It's normally the virtues work that if you're stronger, you get to do this. But specifically in the text, it says if your opponent is strong in the bind, you do this. So we model that by if your opponent has more fortitudo, you get to play the Duplieren card. So in the Stretto, if he's stronger, you can play a cup. Okay, and Mutieren, in the source it says if he is weak, you can do this Mutieren technique. So if you are stronger is the implication, and so you need to be stronger to use the Mutieren card. So there's lots of little textual references thrown in there, but basically if we leave aside the sort of the special skill cards, the rest of the deck works exactly the same as the Italian decks. The blows are named differently, Oberhau instead of Fendente, Unterhau instead of Sottano, that kind of thing. The Stretto cards are all the same, and although this isn't strictly true in real life, you know, the way German-trained swordsmen do, for example, a left Oberhau is quite different from the way your average Fiorian would do a left Oberhau. But for our purposes, they're one and the same thing. All the actual Stretto plays are the same and have the same symbols and what have you, so there should be no difficulty getting this deck to play against a Fiorian deck. So, the virtues are the same, although of course It's a little odd to have a German deck with Italian virtues because the German sources talk about the virtues completely differently. They don't even have these as explicit virtues. And of course, Lichtenauer practitioners are going, hang on, where's Indes? Where's Fühlen? Where's the Zwerchhand? That's where the expansion fact comes in. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to watch all the rest of them. If anything is at all unclear, having watched all these videos and read our rules, then please do get in touch. Cheerio.